Cullen goes live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello, 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 and welcome to a dreary, rainy Tuesday. May something or other, to be exact. Well, that, I guess something or other to be exact doesn't exactly make any sense. May 8th, to be exact. I'm Lynn Cullen, and since it is Tuesday, my sister Suze joins us from the family homestead in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Hi, Suze.
Hi, did you just say Green Bay?
I don't think I did.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I couldn't possibly.
You did. I heard it with my own ears.
Hey, and just as I did, I said Green Bay. Green Bay? Because that's
Time for a visit.
That's what people say who... That's how mostly people pronounce it. They put the accent on the adjective. And if you think of a lot of towns that have an adjective, let's think of some others.
Well, but no, the better example is red light instead of red light.
Well, what do you say?
I say emphasis on the that's a red light, I always say.
Yeah, but let me tell you what they say in Pittsburgh.
Red light.
Red light.
One word.
Right.
No, but they say the accent's on the adjective, red light, which makes some sense since the color is the important thing there.
Well, then they should say Green Bay.
But they don't. I mean, even sportscasters who by now should have been apprised of the fact that the natives say Green Bay.
Well, I think the big guys do who have done the football games for a while. They say it right, but the newcomers never
But it
do.
has this, it is true if you're from Green Bay and somebody says, oh, you're from Green Bay, it really sounds wrong. It's funny.
It would be like saying, oh, you're from Minneapolis.
Right. Or Pittsburgh. Is it Pittsburgh? No, it's sort of a no accent on either syllable.
Sort of equally accent both of those.
But when I came to Pittsburgh, one of the things I also found out was that the rest of the world mispronounces Carnegie. Here it is Carnegie.
Right, and everybody else is Carnegie.
Carnegie. And I'm assuming that we've got it right since he lived here.
We're assuming that that's how they pronounce their name, the Carnegies.
Yeah, Carnegie.
Right.
And so that was something I had to
and it
learn
actually
to
sounds
change.
like more of a name that way.
Carnegie sounds more like a location.
An adjective. Like, what kind of a hall is that? It's a Carnegie Hall.
A Carnegie Hall. Carnegie. That's at least what I think. Anyway, yeah. So I'm still trying to think of a city where, because I think Green Bay is unusual in this respect. I do think generally we do put the accent on the adjective for a two-word city where the first word is an adjective. Why can't we think of one?
I can't. New York.
No. Red Banks. Is that a city? It's a place.
Loon Lake.
What?
Loon Lake.
No, then it's on. Okay. If anyone can think of one, you let us know. We'll stop this right now because I can picture people starting to roll their eyes.
Okay. Let's get right down to the important stuff. Donald Driver was robbed.
What happened? What? He hasn't voted off.
No, but he should have gotten 3/10 for that.
Here's what
drive.
I think. Okay, now again, before we bore people who don't watch Dancing with the Stars, I just want to say this. Here's my guess. They do that to build...
Equalize.
Not just to build drama. I'm sure they say he acted as if he was going to give him a 10, then he gives him a 9. And I think you can see that they do that to keep it unsettled. That's my sense, and that it's very cynical, and it's sort of they figure it out almost beforehand if in fact they can, the dance allows them to do it. That's my guess. He will, by virtue of, he'll end up in the finals or semifinals for sure.
He should. I wasn't thrilled with his tango, but I did think that jive was really good.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Nothing like seeing these big hunks of humanity light on their feet. Ho, ho, ho,
well, I mean,
ho.
he was just out there dancing. I mean, he was just dancing that dance as opposed to doing the steps he had been taught. That one, he just danced.
Right. I'll say one more thing that I noted, that after he did the tango, which is a very sexy dance, one of the judges said, that was so hot. And, call the marriage counselor, call the marriage. He said something about as if it was so hot what he was doing with his partner that it might, affect his marriage. It was just an offhand remark, but they did cut away to his wife. And Driver, who's always so animated and smiling,
got mad.
He was stony when he heard it. And he never smiled at Bruno through the whole thing. He was mad. So that was interesting. Diane has come up with Little Rock.
That's good.
That's a very good one. Little Rock. So if we say Little Rock, why wouldn't we say Green Bay? Huh? But we don't. I mean, you have to go with what the natives
say.
It's
right. For the same reason that it's Carnegie.
Right. Whatever. I guess maybe in Green Bay we do that because there's definitely a bay that the city is sitting on, which is part of Lake Michigan. But it ain't green. So we probably try to bury that. Green Bay. You think? I mean, when we were growing up, it was
better than
polluted.
Brown Bay.
Yeah, it was brown when we were growing up.
Or Gray Bay.
Okay. So, Jess blew in here a little late and told me something I didn't know because I haven't checked my Twitter feed or anything today yet. And she said Maurice Sendak.
Sendak died, yeah.
And why do we... I mean, he was 83.
Yeah, he had a stroke last week, and he died from it.
For those of you who don't know, this is the guy, the children's book writer and author and illustrator mostly for Where the Wild Things Are, I guess is his best known. I checked out the New York Times obit online, and there's some very interesting things on here about like where he came from and what. He was a very unhappy child. He grew up relatively poor, lower class, Jewish, and gay. And he said he felt permanently shunted to the margins of things. He was quoted, he told in a 2008 interview, he told a reporter, "All I wanted was to be straight so my parents would be happy. They never knew," he said. So he had to spend his whole life not wanting to hurt his parents by telling them this terrible thing that he was. This is what, for all of you in whatever that is, South or North Carolina, who are going to go after your gay neighbors today with a constitutional amendment, I wish you had the capacity to comprehend your cruelty. But he was a melancholy soul, relatively solitary. And here's another quote from that same article. No, this is from Vanity Fair. "A woman came up to me the other day and said, 'Oh, you're the kitty book man.' I wanted to kill her," he said. And this shows he was very aware of the, he remembered the unhappiness of his childhood. His parents were warm, lovely people, but he had this secret. And he remembers feeling very, very scared all the time. And here's what he said. He was reared in a world of terror. The Depression, the war, the Holocaust, in which many of his relatives died, the seemingly infinite vulnerability of children to danger, the kidnapping of the Lindbergh baby in 1932, he experienced as a personal torment. He thought, if that fair-haired, blue-eyed prince could not be kept safe, what certain peril lay in store for me, little Maurice Sendak, in his poor little apartment in Bensonhurst? What a sensitive little child. But, we forget children are listening, watching, paying attention, and reacting, even if they don't share that with us. And the Times obit also says, I like this, that he upended the centuries-old tradition of American children's literature, in which young heroes and heroines were typically well-scrubbed and even better behaved. Nothing really bad ever happened for very long, and everything was tied up at the end in a neat moralistic bow. That's not the way he operated. So...
Well, I always loved his books.
Yeah. He cherished the letters that children sent him. Dear Mr. Sendak, read one from an 8-year-old boy. How much does it cost to get to where the wild things are? If it is not expensive, my sister and I would like to spend the summer there. Aww. Okay. Well, you said our mother just left to vote?
Yes. I'm just that little letter just reminded me of something. It's totally off the subject, but it's something that my nephew once said to his father when he was 5 years old. He said, "Dad, I think we should clone Mom, and then I'll take the real one."
Oh.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah, it's very cute. From the mouths of babes, and kids say the darndest things, and all of that. Okay, a little tidbit to give us a chuckle from the ongoing Berlusconi trial in Italy. As you know, the former prime minister or president is being he's prime minister is charged with paying for sex with a 17-year-old, which
among other things.
I mean,
you can pick one.
I wonder if he and Strauss-Kahn ever were at the
Oh,
same
I'm
party.
sure.
God, what does?
I mean, it's just so awful. It's so blah.
Ugh, right. Well, listen, you want bluch? Here it is. A 20-year-old beauty contest winner with tears in her eyes told a court in Milan that Berlusconi asked her and other women to simulate oral sex with a Greek statue while he touched them. Who knows exactly what that means? They were all paid cash for taking part in sex games at his home. He had the women kiss his private parts. Oh, this is how the rich and...
But at least he's funny. We get John Edwards.
Yeah, who's just nothing but slime. Right.
Oh, God.
Right. Slime.
And here's the part. I still can't... Now he was asking her for $3 million, like a few weeks, poor Bunny, 3 weeks before he was indicted. And I'm still trying to figure out, what are the... Don't any of these people think of gift taxes?
Well, her financial person, she was keeping him in the dark. She knew he would have a fit, so I guess she was funneling things through her interior decorator and saying...
Well, yeah, I know, but
right?
I mean, this is just,
I don't know. She's got so much money.
She could really be in trouble.
But here's the funny thing. There was actually a quote that in the testimony, I think the decorator might have said that she was so hurt when she realized that she was being used. And she said... You mean all he wanted was my money?
Right.
But I'm saying, what the hell does she think?
Well, right.
100-year-old woman. What did she think? He was attracted to her? What do you mean? What did he want?
Or he wanted her sage advice?
Yeah. What had she told herself? You mean all he wanted was my money? But she had said she had no problem with helping. She had no problem with his adultery, because she, and remember, she was best friends with Jackie Kennedy. The women of that time and place and position took it as a given that their husbands were screwing around or had mistresses. She didn't have a problem with that at all. None. And there's something sad about that, too.
Yeah. Well, but, maybe she's just more familiar with the custom of marriage as a business deal.
Right. I mean, she married a melon.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Like this, Evangelista who's suing her, the father of her child, who's Selma Hayek's husband, who for child support. And it turns out she waits 5 years because she's been hanging out with some other rich man for 5 years that took care of her. So now she's going back after. You sort of go, doesn't anybody care that we all know this?
Well, how many times have you heard a woman say to you, or a girl, it's been so, the first time I heard it, I was so shocked, and I've heard it a million times since. Well, my mother told me, and it's always, this is their mother's sage advice. It's just as easy to fall in love with a rich man.
Right.
And I'm thinking, what the hell? What a thing for a mother to say. I mean, that's your advice to your daughter? I mean, there's something so awful about that, so slimy. And it's not true. It has nothing to do with, falling in love. You fall in love. You got nothing to do with that. I mean, rich, poor, green, blue, short, tall, I don't know. It's like an infection you catch. Oh, well, speaking of old ladies.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Bunny Mellon, who's still with us at 101. There's a 92-year-old woman, Charlotte Hydern, who has just been sentenced. They gave her probation. 5 years she got, but they told her she could serve it, whatever. They're not going to throw her in jail. 92-year-old who was making a nice little hunk of change, $66,000 last year, selling suicide kits.
Yeah, but she should have paid her taxes.
That's it. They got her on taxes.
Well, but she should have paid her taxes.
So why didn't she?
I don't know.
So the feds went after her. They were trying to stop the suicide stuff, really. They didn't care about her taxes, but they, yeah. She was selling these things left and right in San Diego.
Here's the thing, though.
Did you know
basically what she was selling them was a plastic bag.
Oh, it had to be more than that.
No, it was a plastic bag with a tube that you could run ether into it, or not ether. What's the one that makes you talk funny?
Nitrous oxide.
No, that makes your voice high.
Yeah.
Helium.
Oh.
Helium. And, so you would replace it would kill you faster. You'd replace it. There's no real reason to do that because you're going to deplete the oxygen anyway. But that's basically all it was.
Well,
so why would you pay $60 for a plastic bag?
A sucker's born every minute.
Go to the grocery store, get one in the produce section, voila.
Okay, I give you one more silly story, and then we'll get into something a little more meaty.
Aren't you amazed that I actually know about all these stories?
No, well, I know you read. Why wouldn't you? You got your little iPad there. And by the way, there was a study done that you're prone to neck problems because if you look at your they're already doing studies on iPad injuries.
Well, I can tell you, there's plenty of them. The first one is, the first thing I had to do is get myself a stylus because you get carpal tunnel real fast. You just, punching with your finger and holding your hand in that position. That I noticed, and yeah, you have to make sure that you're not hurting your wrists or
they were talking
or your
about
eyes, all sorts of things.
They were talking about your neck mostly because that if you look at
you lean forward
on your lap, they're saying you end up with. Okay, but I want to go back because you had said something about depleting oxygen when you were talking about the
right.
That's essentially what when we're talking about. Gas emissions in the air, and global warming, right? Doesn't that have to do with taking, so carbon dioxide instead of oxygen, instead of the ozone layer, methane, blah, 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 blah. The percentage of greenhouse gas emissions that you can lay at our feet it's pretty damn high from using fossil fuels for energy.
Our meaning people in the United States or people?
This is worldwide.
Okay.
57% caused by the burning of fossil fuels. 57%. Okay? Coming in at number 2, cutting down forests. Carbon dioxide is released from deforestation.
Right, of course.
And the resulting decay of the biomass. That's next up with over 17%. And coming in at number 3, farts.
Well, we know that, especially cow farts. Huge producer of methane.
And belches. 14%, ladies and gentlemen, of all global warming can be laid at the feet. Well, that's not the right body part. Can be laid at the feet of cattle and sheep and who else chews a cud? And sheep, buffalo, and cows. So anyway, some scientist with too much time on his hand noting that thought, geez, I wonder when the dinosaurs were around, because some of those big guys ate the same kind of diet. They were plant eaters. But imagine how much... See, methane is used in their guts to break up the vegetation they ingest. And then the gas is passed, as they say. So he tried to figure out how much methane dinosaurs must have spewed into the air. And he came up with a whole heck of a lot. And in fact, they might have warmed the climate.
It makes sense what he was saying.
They might have warmed the climate then. The stomach gas released each year by long-necked plant-eating dinosaurs may have equaled the total amount of methane produced every year today from all natural, agricultural, and industrial sources. So, and methane is the big heat trapper, 23 times as effective at trapping heat in the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. So methane's the big bad gas in this regard. So, yes, cattle farts and belching account for about 20% of American methane emissions. That's according to the EPA. There you have it. And one more silly thing. There's this guy who wanted to open a restaurant in West Palm Beach, Suze.
Yeah.
He's an Asian guy, and he wanted the name of the restaurant to be the Japanese word for good fortune, wealth, and prosperity, which is Fuku.
Right.
Fuku. You see this? Everybody seems to know this one. Which, to, our eyes, I guess, looks like fuck you. Right?
Right.
State officials refused to allow him to name his restaurant Fuku, which seems a little absurd.
Well, I think so. But there's a whole village in Austria whose name is
fuck.
Right, that wants to change its name, and it can't because some other village already beat him to it.
What? Beat them to changing their name?
There was like a logical thing to change it to, but there was another town that already took it for the same reason.
Okay, state officials in Florida say the name of his would-be name includes immoral, get this is Florida again, God bless them, or don't, includes immoral, deceptive, or scandalous matter. Nincompoops!
Right. Well, I'll tell you why they do these things, because it's so much easier than dealing with anything real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just using the Missouri State House as the example again, we just had a judge throw out the whole portion of our education funding law that allows children to shift districts if they are in a failing district. They had to, because the law makes no sense. You can't expect a little suburban school to take in 5,000 kids if they all show up one day, which is what the law said they had to do. But, rather than deal with any of that, we're, going on the gold standard.
Sure, why not?
It's not. I mean, it's not funny.
Well, you can either laugh or
you
freak
can kill
out.
yourself. Right.
I know, and I actually, Chris Potter and I were laughing about this the other day because we seem to always balancing ourselves. He came in last week, sort of laughing at all this kind of stuff, and I was. It's the end of the world. It's oh God, what's become of us? And but today I can tell I'm laughing at it. I don't know.
And why won't Obama do same-sex marriage? It aggravates
I'll tell
me.
you why. I mean, I was gonna.
He's not gonna lose any votes.
Okay,
those people aren't voting for him anyway.
No, I don't agree with that. But let's talk about that. But let me get a break in first. That's where I wanted to go. But
we're sisters. We think alike.
Yeah. Okay, we'll be right back.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Opera, City Theater, Symphony, History Museum, and Carnegie Museums. Bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's only online deal site where the deals don't expire. Check out this week's big deal. Over 40% off authentic laser lipo treatments from FDA-approved Zerona. Bergbargains.com.
Hey, Billy, want to go to the state fair?
Yeah!
Well, you can't.
Huh?
Well, you see, Billy, when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have done with it. But now your parents are becoming energy efficient. They could save hundreds of dollars a year and take you to the fair next year.
I want to go now.
Oh, I know you do. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Get Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com now for Pittsburgh City Paper's brand new mobile app. Get the latest restaurant reviews, event listings, movie times, and of course, Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. citypapermobile.com.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
All right, welcome back. So, Joe Biden says he is absolutely comfortable with same-sex marriage, and Arnie Duncan, the Secretary of Education, says he's got no problems, totally for it. It's assumed that the evolving position of Barack Obama would be similar, in fact. But clearly this is a political...
Well, I think it's actually a problem for that starts in the African American church.
Yeah. Listen, it's not, you said any of the people, it doesn't, yeah, you just hit it. He has a huge, obviously, base among the African American community, and yet that is probably every bit as strong a base for the anti-gay marriage as so. Those are those two things come together. Also, in some of the battleground states where it's going to be so damn close, and it could come down to 5,000 votes or something, or 10,000 votes, they must have done the math and said, we can't do this now. But listen, he has already. It's clear. I mean, and I think the gay civil rights people should just cut him a little bit of slack, because even though he hasn't been out in front on this issue, he has done the right thing again and again. Don't ask, don't tell is gone, right? He did not. He told the Justice Department to cease and desist on defending the Defense of Marriage Act, signed into law by Bill Clinton. I don't think it's worth losing the election over. And as soon as he gets in, he can do what he wants to do. And he will. He will have fully evolved the day after the election.
I know. I have a problem with that.
There's not enough leadership.
I think somebody has to step up and say, this is who I am. I'm not playing politics with people's lives. This is what I truly believe. This is what I intend to do. As opposed to saying, I'm evolving, and then the day after he's elected doing what, he wants to do. I understand political realities, but I honestly think that people are getting so fed up with politics wagging everything else. It's more than the tail wagging the dog. The dog is gone.
Here's the problem. Who votes? Old people. Who's against same-sex marriage demographically? Older people. Who is for it without overwhelmingly? Young people. Who fails to go to the polls? Young people. I think they've done the calculation.
Well, I'm sure they have. I'm tired of it.
Well, yeah. This is where realists, pragmatists, and the guys who have to... You want him to get reelected. You don't want Mitt Romney and the Republicans to have everything, the Supreme Court, the House, and the White House. they're doing so much damage with what they've got.
But meanwhile, I'm reading this morning in some awful editorial about Obama has to stop evolving, and criticizing him for just what you say, that he will show up and the next day, after he's elected, it will be something else. He'll tell you what he really thinks, and I'm thinking it allows them to do to him what is, in fact, that's the same Rovian tactic. It's really Romney who is the one whose positions are whatever is whispered in his ear that morning, and who has no problem with saying three different things during the day.
Right.
I mean, I would like to know that the people who run for these offices in our country say what they mean so that people can vote for what they want. I know it's childish and naive.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is.
Isn't that awful?
Well, see, I'm in that mood today where I'm less, you're in the mood of isn't it awful, and it's just the way it is. The job of a politician at this juncture in an election campaign is to get elected. Isn't it? The job of a president is to exercise leadership. But let him get elected, and once he's elected, especially this time reelected, I think he'll prove to be a lot more of a leader than he was in his first term, because it doesn't matter then. Do you know what I mean? He's freed from ever having to run again.
Right.
So let it be. Look, all people know that gay marriage is a given, and it is. I was marveling the other day. You cannot, and I was thinking, what do these people who are on the other end of this, what are they thinking when they're like watching something like, I'm not kidding you, what's that? Wheel of Fortune. They're sitting at home watching Wheel of Fortune. And, what's his name is saying hi to the three contestants. And the one says, how they always say, oh, yes, I have a wonderful husband. They all say the same thing.
I've been married for 15 years
to my
wonderful husband, Jim.
And we have 3 beautiful children. They all say the same thing. So nobody blinks although they do at home, when the other contestant says, I've been married to and it's a guy, I've been married to my wonderful husband, Jim, for a year.
Right.
And Pat Sajak doesn't say boo. The audience, you do not hear a gasp. It is just, yeah. So
I'll tell you, if you spend any time watching things like HGTV, where they go into people's homes and remake them, or they just knock on a house and redo the outside of the house or whatever, I swear that on those, as I started noticing, it's at least 30% of the people that they do are gay couples.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And no, of course, nobody thinks anything of it, and then they have these big neighborhood parties, and everybody's together, and I'm thinking, the country is so out front on this.
It's just out there now. Everybody's out. It's out.
It's over.
It's over. But this is and you'll see the people of, what is that, North Carolina today? They are going to, or South Carolina, they're going to make, I can't tell the two apart. They already have a law against it. Now they're going to do the constitutional amendment. They can't pile on enough. They are standing in the way of a train that is going to mow them over. If they want to make one of these pathetic last chances, go right ahead. Today also, 3 members of the Iowa Supreme Court who courageously, when a similar law, constitutional amendment, I believe, was passed in Iowa, The Iowa Supreme Court unanimously said it's unconstitutional.
Oh, that's Mother with the phone. Mom.
It's Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Tell her to get on. Let's hear who she voted for.
Hold on, I'll do. Hold on. Mom! Come here. Neen wants to talk to you. Hold on. Hi.
Hi, Mom.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Listen, so who'd you vote for?
I voted for...
What's his name?
I voted for Bartlett.
Bartlett,
right.
Barrett?
It's a strange ballot they have here. It's all listed on one side. And you can vote for a Democratic governor and a Republican lieutenant governor.
You can?
So you can cross, but you can't vote for two people in the same column.
You figured it out, though.
Well, they explain it because everybody would be asking the question as you walk in. There's a very confusing ballot.
Yeah, really. Okay, so
it isn't very confusing, but it's they don't make you pick between one party and another.
All right, so Mom, what's your guess? So next month you got to go to the polls again.
Yes,
and vote in the recall.
It's a very, very. I will be happy to have either one of these people win, because I can see the woman is a good.
Yes, she is.
Ms. Falk is a good woman.
Yes, she is, but she's not going to win.
But she doesn't rate well in the polls as vis-a-vis Barrett.
Right. So, but I'm saying when Walker, in the recall election next month, what's your sense from what you were hearing? Of course, you live in.
I don't hear. Nobody talks about it.
Okay. Nobody talks about it.
Mom has a stop Walker sign in her front yard.
You do?
Yeah.
Yay, Mom! You got a stop Walker sign?
Recall Walker. Recall Walker, right.
So what, you think that's going over well in the neighborhood?
Well, I have no idea. The guy across the street has a keep Walker sign. So they're canceling each other out, but that's important. I swear there are people that go around and count signs and vote for the side that has the most signs.
Signs are important. But the guy,
excuse me just a minute, I'm hoarse.
I know you are. What's going on?
Everything's in bloom around here. The
lilacs
are gorgeous. So the last time I put a card in a sign in my yard, a neighbor made a very nasty crack to me.
What was the sign?
After the election.
What was the sign?
The sign was for
Feingold.
Before a Democrat, the sign was for Feingold.
Feingold, because I've seen it leaning in the garage.
And I said hello to this neighbor when I was walking down the street, and she said, "How are you?" I said, "Well, I'm a little jet lagged from a trip to Israel." And she looked at me and she says, "Well, I hope there is an Israel in a few years."
Implying that it
would be Mom's fault if there weren't. Well, I didn't know that I voted for the wrong, the people that didn't support Israel.
Yeah.
So I knew she was angry at me.
Had she ever gone to Israel? Who's supporting Israel?
No, she was just wrong at me for the sign I had. She was angry at me for the sign I had in my yard. That's all.
Okay, so
or Russ Feingold, that pinko commie.
Right.
Well, probably the finest man we ever had for Senate.
Yeah, not to mention his sister is a rabbi. She thought maybe Feingold wasn't going to, support Israel?
No, it's not that simple. She just, it's just knee-jerk nastiness. It's just not even that. It's just probably that too. But she just wants, she doesn't want people to vote for Democrats.
Simple as that. And she...
I don't understand it because it's really so foolish. Everybody has it. The Press Gazette wrote a very wise editorial last week telling about all the money that Scott Walker had collected, but advising people
not to pay attention to television ads, but to think what they wanted, and then go to the poll and vote, and ignore all the hoopla. Just think it through for themselves and go and vote.
Well,
and that's what I think people should do, too.
Well, I can't imagine the assault you guys are under on television and radio.
Well, it's going to get much worse this next month when this is over.
Right.
The Democrats have not been beating up on each other. They've been very, very...
good. I was worried because I heard
no,
the unions...
No, they have not. There's not been one nasty crack between them that I have heard.
Well, good. Let's hope Wisconsin.
And I went to a little election party for Tammy
Baldwin, who's
yes,
the openly gay
really
woman running.
A very extremely bright woman.
Oh,
I was very impressed with her. She knows her
stuff.
She knows her legislation backwards and forwards. She was so right in every question she got from the people there.
If elected,
I learned a lot from listening to her.
If elected, she will be the first openly gay senator in the country.
She's got another problem, and they're going to come and beat her up about that.
Well, Susan and I were just talking about same-sex marriage and how Obama is still evolving. But as somebody pointed out the other day, well, at least a Democrat's capable of evolving because Democrats believe in evolution.
Right. I thought Biden had a very cute remark the other day. He says it basically comes down to who do you love.
That's right. He had it right.
I thought that was a very, very, very interesting.
And that's absolute. You're absolutely right because what the people against gay rights, gay marriage are hung up on is they think of gayness as sex. And what Biden was saying, it's about love. Don't you understand?
Right. And I thought that was so right of him to say that. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And right on the mark.
Right on the mark, indeed. Okay, well, I got to take a break. Mom.
Okay, nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too, Mom. I'll see you soon, by the way.
We're going to the office when this is over.
Oh, you are? Okay, you go to the office. Bye. We'll be back in just a moment.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
Gustavo and Vella wants to thank all of southwestern Pennsylvania, the USA, and the world for helping to liberate his native country of Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea has suffered 43 years of dictatorship, 43 years of human rights abuses, 43 years of corruption, and 43 years of kleptocracy. Even with $5 billion in oil revenue in 2011, the 700,000 citizens of Equatorial Guinea earn less than $2 per day. A proud Mount Lebanon resident, please help Gustavo and Vella usher in the 21st century by allowing freedom, democracy, and socioeconomic prosperity by the rule of law for the next 43 years and beyond. Email him at presidentandvella@yahoo.com to help free Equatorial Guinea.
Hey, Jenny, why do you have May 13th through the 19th highlighted on your calendar?
It's National Women's Health Week. Time to make our health a top priority.
So what's going on May 17th from 10 to 1? You have it circled.
That's the open house for Sanford Brown Institute in Pittsburgh. They're celebrating Women's Health Week, too.
Are you going to go?
Totally. I'm getting ready to go back to school, and I want to see which healthcare program is right for me. I'm thinking about training to be a medical assistant or diagnostic medical sonographer. That's ultrasounds. But they have a lot more programs than that.
Okay, so Thursday, May 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Sanford Brown in Pittsburgh?
Yep, I'll be there, and you should too.
Call Sanford Brown at 877-839-7444. That's 877-839-7444. Sanford Brown cannot guarantee employment or salary. Find disclosures on graduation rates, student financial obligations, and more at www.sanfordbrown.edu/disclosures.
Pittsburgh City Paper's annual restaurant guide magazine is available now. Plus, Christina Perry, Marilyn Manson, and Pop at the City Theater. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Okay, Suze.
Yes.
Is Mom still there?
No.
Oh. Well, is she able to get on the line? I just
No,
want.
she's already on. She's on her phone and she's making calls.
Okay. Because I wanted her to hear this. Chuck writes in, Lynn, your mom would be a suitable replacement on those days when Susan is unavailable. I can now see where you and Susan get your communication skills and smarts.
Well, I'll tell her. Also, our voice.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. That's right. Jeez, we all have these gravelly voice. The Phlegm sisters. God.
Well, I was calling a guy that. The guy that fixes everything in my house was supposed to show up, and he didn't show up. So I called him, and his wife answered his cell phone, and she sounds like me on a bad day with a cold.
Oh, jeez.
And she,
jeez.
I was going, wow, way to make me sound girlish.
So there was something interesting in the Wall Street Journal today. Maybe you saw it.
I don't think I did. What?
Okay. Talking about science. This is more science. I love this stuff. Talking about ourselves triggers the same pleasure centers in the brain as money or food. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
We want to talk about ourselves. And they said this explains when you say, why would people put this personal crap or this minutia of their lives on Facebook, on Twitter? What the hell is that about? Well, it's about the fact that for some reason we want desperately to talk about ourselves. About 40%, they have figured, of all the speech we do is devoted to telling others what we are feeling or what we are thinking.
Well, it's quite literally mental masturbation.
But we love it. Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
That's right.
It's quite literally mental masturbation.
So they have pictures, they do this with brain scans now, and they show your brain just fires up as if you are having sex when you're able to talk about yourself. And when they asked, random groups of people, would you be willing to take a quick little test? We can pay you a little bit if you're willing to answer some questions about Barack Obama and some other things. We could also give you a test just about your own personal thises or that's, although we don't have any money for that. Despite the financial incentive, the vast majority of people said, I'd rather talk about myself for nothing. Isn't that interesting?
Well, not really.
Not?
Well, I mean, it is interesting, but it's also one of those things that when you think about it,
it's like a no-brainer. But,
right.
But I just want to. So the Wall Street Journal has this thing: science reveals why we brag so much. We just want to talk about me. It even explains something that often annoys me, but which I know I do. I'm trying not to. Because I know it not always, but sometimes annoys me and other people. Let's say I say something like, I just had the most terrible experience, blah, 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 blah. Then the person I'm telling that to, rather than empathize with my experience or allow me to continue, of course, to talk about my favorite subject, my experience, they say, oh, something exactly like that happened to me. And they pull it back to themselves. And I'm thinking, now, maybe that's an effort to show empathy. Oh, yeah, me too. But no, I think this thing shows exactly what it is. It's saying, okay, I'll take your experience and I'm going to try to one-up it. It's like, I'll give you this, I'll give you that back, and I'll see you. I don't know how to play poker. I mean, but if you want to carry this far enough, a good conversation between two people might involve, both people
providing an occasion for each of them to light up those pleasure centers in the brain, but also enjoy seeing the other person enjoy the conversation.
Right. But I think what's really going on is
we're all stroking ourselves.
We all want it to be about us.
Yeah.
So I've been trying not to do that when somebody says something and I immediately then, it reminds me of something similar that I have to say. And I've been, on occasion, just biting my lip and saying, let them talk. I don't know.
Or at least let the first thing out of your mind, out of your mouth, be something like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you."
But let me tell you about me.
Well, then you can wait. You can skip a few beats before you say, "Let me tell you about me" instead.
God.
Narcissism ain't nothing new.
Nothing new under the sun.
That's right.
So we did Maurice Sendak's obit, but I have another one who's not as well known to us. His name is Carl Bernadotte or something. Never heard of him myself. 95 years old, lived a good life. He was born a prince. Prince of what? Denmark? Prince of
that was Hamlet.
Sweden. Prince of Sweden. They had a king and a queen there then. Prince Carl Johan. I don't think... Do the Swedes still have a king and a queen? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think they do.
Sure they do.
Yeah, they do. They do. In fact, this guy...
Queen, it starts with a B. Beatrice?
No, that's Netherlands.
Oh.
Isn't it? That's Netherlands or something. A lot of those little... European countries, northern ones, the Scandinavian do. They still have kings and queens that don't do much anything, but yeah. So he died at 95. He was the last living great-grandchild of, fill it in, Susan, you can do this. He was the last surviving great-grandchild of...
the Tsar?
No. It's all in the family. He was a cousin of the Tsar, probably.
Last surviving...
Who was they all came from, there's one great...
the Austrian guy?
No, Archduke Franz Ferdinand? No.
I don't know. History's my worst.
No, but when I tell you, you will know. He was the last surviving grandchild of Queen Victoria.
Oh, I thought that and said, nah.
No.
What do you mean, last surviving grandchild?
Great-grandchild. He is. They're all dead now. We're down that far.
Well, how about Elizabeth?
Is she the great-grand... No.
Well,
no, she's the great-great. I mean, she's a grand... Wait. She's a great-great. Her father was a great-grandchild. No? Because he... Oh, no, he wasn't.
No. This is bull.
You had Victoria... This is the New York Times obit. Wait. You had Victoria who begot... what's his name? The fat guy. Who was screwing around.
Albert. Who is Elizabeth's father?
No, there's someone in
Albert
between.
Was Victoria's husband.
No, the guy who couldn't. He's sort of like Charles in that these women live forever, and he could never, get the throne. His mother kept living, and he was. Who was that guy? Prince Edward? No. And then he begot. I can even see his wife, and whatever. We'll figure this out. It says here, though, in the New York Times, he was the last surviving great-grandchild of Queen Victoria.
Well, then he must have been.
But the reason he made it into the obits is because, like another great-grandchild of Queen Victoria, namely King Edward the Eighth of England, who abdicated the throne for the woman he loved, the vile Wallis Simpson. This guy, too, renounced his nobility to marry a commoner. And he lost his princehood, or whatever that is. But, so he moved to New York, he married the woman he loved, and they had a long marriage. She predeceased him by some time, but he just started life as a commoner himself. He became a businessman. And which takes, I'm sure, some courage, because if you're a royal like that, you haven't had to do anything for yourself. And to go ahead and just all of a sudden say, and it said he used to take walks on the east side with Greta Garbo.
Well, then he wasn't all that common.
Well, but she was a fellow Swede.
Right.
Right? And it does say in the obit that one of his adjustments to the life of a commoner came when he and his bride rented an apartment. He'd never rented an apartment in his life in Manhattan, and they sued the landlord. And in the suit, he said he wanted to get out of the lease because, quote, the landlord has not equipped it in a manner consistent with my tastes and social standing. So even though he renounced his princely stuff, he couldn't quite get over being a prince, you know?
Well, he is who he is.
He is who he is. They were married at Riverside Church in Manhattan, had their reception at the 21 Club. And we got to get the genealogy down. I'm going to look that up.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Suze, I think we done did it. And
we did it.
So you're off to the office?
Of course.
Off to the office. Okay, and have a nice dinner with Marilyn.
I will.
Oh, okay. And I'll talk to you guys sometime today.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, bye.
And as for the rest of you, I'll talk to you again tomorrow with Chris Potter in tow. Always fun. Have a great day.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.